go ahead and call this fourth meeting of the Budget Review Subcommittee on Transportation to order. This time, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Armstrong, Senator Higdon, Representative Branscombe.
Here.
Representative Bridges, Representative Huff, Representative Imes.
Here.
Representative Smith. Here. Representative Tackett Lafferty. Senator Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Representative Blanton. Representative Bowling. Representative Bray. Representative Petrie. Co-Chair Douglas.
Present.
Chair Upchurch.
Here. We do not have a quorum, even though we was trying to count Senator Higdon more than once as he walked back 3 times. That's the reason he was pacing back and forth, but it didn't count. But we'll skip over that for now and get into the maintenance update. We have with us today James Ballinger, State Highway Engineer, and John Moore, Deputy Highway Engineer. Welcome. And before we get started, I'd like to recognize the board members of KBT. If you all just please stand, please make them welcome. All right. You may proceed. Just introduce yourselves for the record, and then you may proceed.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you to Chair Upchurch and Chair Douglas for the opportunity to be here today. I'm James Ballinger, State Highway Engineer, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
And John Moore, Deputy State Highway Engineer of Transportation Cabinet.
Okay. As I was thinking about today's presentation about our maintenance and the activities that we do to keep our roads safe and to ensure the safe mobility on our highways, I was thinking the last couple of days, and we actually talked to some of our district engineers throughout the state about some of the issues they've been facing the last few years in trying to keep our roads well maintained for the traveling public. And I received a note from one of our district engineers, Mary Westfall Holbrook, who's our chief district engineer in District 12 in Pikeville in that district. And I thought Mary captured it extremely well with her thoughts over the last few years. And if it's okay, I'm going to read what she sent to me because I think her words summarize this really, really well. And I think it's going to help to inform the presentation that John's going to help with. So Mary sent this note to me. She said, in our district, the maintenance work has been very intense. And she used that word intense as we have worked to repair our roadways from the flood events of 2022 and 2025. We're all, well aware of those flood events. In some cases, the repair work has been time-consuming and demanding in addition to taking away from our normal maintenance activities. Sometimes we have needed ditching, pothole patching, and those are the examples of the kind of work when she's talking about the normal maintenance activities. She says that seems we're always just trying to catch up and then get hit hard and fast by another disaster. And that's kind of sort of encapsulates what all of our district engineers and our frontlines maintenance guys are facing. She went on to say that District 12 maintenance forces have been working longer days during the summer to catch up as much as they possibly can as they get ready for the next snow and ice season. So I thought that said it well, and we heard that sentiment from all of our district engineers, though, that we've it seems like as we work to maintain the roadways, there'll be another disaster, whether it's been tornadoes and floods and ice storms, and we've had a lot of those recently, though. And that has impacted our ability to do our normal maintenance activities. But I will say I've been extremely proud of the teams. I've traveled this state from one end to the other over the last several months and met with a lot of our frontlines guys. I've been out on the ground a lot lately, and the guys are doing really, really good work to maintain our roadways and keep them safe. But we also have to think forward to this upcoming snow and ice season. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John.
I just want to walk through, kind of break down the maintenance budget and maintenance activities into 3 general categories: the critical, routine, and preventive maintenance activities. So the first one's the critical activities. These are snow and ice, emergency response, as James was talking about. Outside of disaster response, there's general storm response. We may not have any, may not be a declared disaster, but we still have call-outs for folks to get trees out of the road and repair signals at all hours of the night. Again, all hours of the night, traffic control for crashes as folks wind up in various spots along the right-of-way. For more serious crashes, the local law enforcement will call our folks out to assist with traffic control and signal repairs, whether they're worn out or through other means. That is a critical aspect, is to keep the travelers safely moving throughout the state. To dig in just a little bit on the snow and ice and emergency response, these are two of our significant events or expenses each year. Snow and ice, it varies from year to year, as you would expect, based on the weather. From the minimum in the last 5 years, $45 million in 2021 to $85 million in 2025. This averages about $61 million a year. And I will say that from our snow and ice experts, they indicate that we've not had a bad snow year in a few years. So these are just normal snowing years, and 2025 was just a little bit more normal than the ones before that. So very significant cost towards clearing the roads after snow and ice events. We also have our disaster response, which unfortunately has been very prominent. Characterize these in two ways, and I do have a mistake on here, and I'll walk through it as I go through here. We've had 7 declared disasters with both FEMA and FHWA. That has totaled over the past 5 years $383 million. And this is critical because the Commonwealth, the Transportation Cabinet, we carry those costs on our books until we get reimbursed from FEMA or FHWA. So it's that's part of the stress that Mary Holbrook was talking about with stressing the budgets, as we have to carry these until we get reimbursed, and it could be multiple year reimbursement to get these funds back. With regardless of how much we carry to seek reimbursement from FEMA or FHWA, we do have a burden on the state maintenance fund that we have to absorb. Thankfully, since these disasters include the Mayfield tornado and the Eastern Kentucky floods, the General Assembly has been kind enough to set up safe funds, and we've allocated about $15 million to date towards those major disasters. But that still leaves about $55 million that we've had to borne over the years from our maintenance funds. And I categorize the next part as undeclared, and that's a misnomer. It was only undeclared from the FHWA side. They were declared on the FEMA side, but these are 6 significant storms and $23 million in costs. And the reimbursement from FEMA and FHWA varies between 75 to 80 to 100%, depending on the severity of the storm. Once all the disasters are done, we've got the routine activities that everybody depends on. It's the ubiquitous nature that the signals work, the stripes are reflective, the stop bars are there. You can see at intersections. So these include potholing, mowing, striping, sign repair and replacement, signals, lighting updates or repairs, tree and brush removal along the highways, rest area maintenance, to name a few. There's much more than this, but these are the more of the primary categories of the routine maintenance activities that our maintenance personnel do day in and day out that we take for granted by and large, but they're critical, and we hear about it when we fall behind on it. There's no doubt. Outside of preventive maintenance or outside of routine maintenance, there's preventive activities that we try to do as resources are available. These are slide repairs, get ahead of the slides that show up before a major event comes and makes it into a significant damage. Drainage improvements to make sure the water is going under the road and not through the road. Concrete intersection with where people park at signals tend to have some rutting there. Concrete intersections are more robust so that's a way to treat that. Other preventive activities, guardrail installation, roadway hazards, and bridge and roadway preventive repairs. And these are all activities that unfortunately we have not been able to stay on top of recently because of the resource limitations. So just wanted to touch on pressures to the maintenance budget. As you've seen with construction industry throughout the country, there's been significant price pressure on material and equipment, and as maintenance is a parallel activity, it is a highway construction activity. Those costs we've seen those in both the traffic area as well as maintenance area. Our contract costs is we don't have the personnel to do all the work that is needed to be done ourselves, so we put out contracts with various folks for snow and ice removal, mowing, rest area maintenance, and a lot of the other even disaster response that we implement. We issue that work through master agreements to contractors or vendors, and we've seen significant increases across the board. And finally, in order to be able to do the work that we need to do, we have to have quality personnel, and we have to be in a competitive compensation situation. So, and that's a significant portion of our maintenance budget as to keep personnel around at all hours of the night. In some events, we've had contractors that have chosen not to come to assist on emergencies and just turn in their contract instead of respond. So it's imperative that we have these quality employees in every county throughout the Commonwealth for when disasters strike, that they're there to help pick up the pieces. So with that, be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Senator Higdon, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. One of the things we see a lot of is, and they're difficult in the beginning when we install roundabouts. There's a lot of animosity and pushback on those. If any of you had one in your district, they're not really popular in the beginning, but after they're in, the people come back and say, "Boy, that's the greatest thing ever." I'm sorry I said anything on Facebook negative about you. I'll take it back. Of course, they don't post that on Facebook. Anyway, they are amazing, and they move traffic. They're safe, and I guess it leads to my question. They save money because you don't have the contractor to take care of the traffic light. You don't have to replace the traffic lights every so many years. So they're pretty well maintenance free. Do you have any figures of how much savings that you realize per intersection over a year's time when a roundabout's put in versus when you have the traffic light?
I can jump in, and I don't have those life cycle cost numbers with me, but I can certainly get that to you, Senator Higdon, and provide that for the entire life cycle. But the initial cost is, as you know, higher for the roundabout oftentimes, but the total life cycle cost, though, if you and especially if you count the savings to the crashes, injuries, and fatalities, though, actually serious injuries go down in the order of magnitude of, well, the number they can go down between 70 and 80%. With the serious injuries. Fatalities typically go down over 90%. It's just rare to see a fatality crash at a roundabout intersection. So if you count the savings due to the impact on the traveling public and the citizens of the Commonwealth, it's significant. But actually, just in the hard numbers of the life cycle cost, I can get that to you, though. But over time, it would be a reduced cost.
Well, I applaud you all on your emphasis to put these roundabouts where as money's available and where it's a good fit. But it would be good to have these statistics about roundabouts in case our members have questions if roundabouts are proposed in their district, because they are controversial in the beginning until you've had one, and it's up and it's effective. The opinion is generally negative toward a roundabout.
In my experience, it's been about 2/3 against on the proposition and 2/3 for after installation. And the only compliment I got from the public similar to you was regarding installation of a roundabout and saying, why aren't you doing this elsewhere?
Well, one of the comments I got the other day said that you're trying to make us European, but no. So I'm not driven in Europe, so I don't know about that. But anyway, thank you for making these work, but it would help legislators if they had ammunition
Very good.
to offset some of the criticism we get when these are installed.
Thank you, sir.
Pre-installation, after they're installed, there's not a problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Higdon, and I'd like to follow up on that. I think my district is. You got the doughboy? Yes, Mr. Secretary, we need to talk about that doughboy. But I know there is plans, I think, for one in Monticello, and you're starting to get some of the chatter, and like to have some of the statistics and stuff like that would help. Somerset just had the Dukes Hazard car jump over the Fountain Square, so hopefully we won't have any of those at our roundabouts. So.
And if I may add, is it okay,
certainly.
Chairman? We're looking at using lots of innovative intersection techniques that we have. We have other strategies, and this is only because we're doing it for safety reasons. There's some, I know you've probably heard of we call it an R-cut, or reduced conflict U-turns, that we're installing, where you take a right turn and do a U-turn in order to go the other direction. And we're seeing the similar safety numbers with the R-cut type intersections. With some of our interchanges, we're doing the double crossover diamond interchanges, and we're doing some of those installing some interchanges and intersections in the interest of safety, and we're seeing a significant improvement in the serious injuries and fatalities at these locations, which it's a goal that we all have, and we appreciate the support of the General Assembly. Thank you.
Okay. And I think Senator Higdon had a follow-up.
I do. I just wanted to make a comment about people running red lights. I've been noticing lately, as I travel, the number of people that run red lights, and it's really amazing, and how dangerous it is, and the fatalities that T-bone accidents, cause people running traffic lights, and there's a real animosity against traffic light cameras, but if folks don't stop their bad habits of running red lights, they might get something that they don't want, and but seriously, people need to start paying attention to traffic lights. They're there for a reason.
Wholeheartedly concur.
And we have some news media here today that probably say that, I said that, quit running red lights. It's not only hazardous to your health, but the people that are coming, that are going when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So just, it didn't cost you anything to hear that. So
Thank
anyway,
you for the PSA.
Yeah.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things I'm also going to piggyback on to the roundabouts. One of the things I've noticed in my district, and we have had some of those installed, is that the roundabouts are the only mechanism that actually slows traffic to speed it up. And I've seen them really work. But I do have one question. When you're making a determination about the diameter or the radius, whichever one we want to talk about, how big the roundabouts are, how do you come up with that? Because I know in one of my counties, we have some people who have semi-tractor trailers who decide they want to go down particular roads that they likely shouldn't go down, but that's a GPS issue. And then we have, and that part is rural. So then we have tractors that are pulling other trailers, and they have some difficulty getting around some of the roundabouts. So how do you determine?
We could probably take a couple hours and go over some of the geometric design of how roundabouts work. But just in a nutshell, as our designers look at the context of the area where a roundabout is going to be installed, and we have to consider if there's going to be farm equipment or potentially for trucks that could be in that location. And they design the inscribed diameter of that in a way that the trucks can safely navigate the roundabout itself. And Well, for instance, there's one in Harrison County that I observed just a couple of months ago, and it's on the south side of the bypass. And I watched a truck go through it, and he slowed down and went through it safely. And I thought, well, that was kind of interesting, though. So I went around the roundabout again, and I saw another truck, and I watched it. And he was able to, with his trailing wheels on the truck, he was able to get up on the concrete apron with the trailing wheels. And obviously, they'd been through this area before, and they safely, efficiently, and quickly went through the roundabout. And like you said, it can actually make things more efficient. It can slow everyone down. It's a roundabout's kind of like a four-way stop, but you don't have to stop. Everybody slows down, but you just keep moving. And it's an extremely efficient way to handle traffic and a safe way to handle traffic. So we can look at the context of the location and design them a little differently depending on where they're going to be installed and what traffic they're going to be seeing.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I'd just like to recommend that maybe in the middle of these roundabouts, if we could put a Doughboy statue, and that one might help slow traffic
We'll
down.
take that into consideration. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the members of the committee? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate your. All right. In between the next segment, we do have a quorum, so I'm going to entertain a motion for the approval of the
Motion.
minutes from the last meeting. We have a motion.
I'll do second. I'll give the motion to Senator Higdon.
Okay, we've got motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We have adopted the minutes. Okay, next up is Matt Cole and Sarah Jackson. Welcome. Introduce yourselves for the record, and then you may proceed.
I'm Sarah Jackson. I'm the Real ID Project Manager in the Office of the Secretary of Transportation.
Matthew Cole. I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Vehicle Regulation at the Transportation Cabinet. Before I got started here with our slide, I did want to just to kind of put in context where we started and where we are now. When this transition really started wholeheartedly in 2020, we've grown now from almost no regional offices to 35 regional offices. We were a staffing level of 89 people in the Division of Driver's License and are now at 400 people. And every year, we're issuing 1.3 million credentials, whether that's permits, driver's licenses, real IDs, motorcycle, you name it. So the path that we've been on has been fast and furious, but we're really glad to share the results of what we've been doing during that transition. When we finally had the circuit clerks off issuance in the end of June in 2022. Where's the start one? Is it that one? No, I don't see the start button here. I can go page by page here. Which one?
Maximize all that lower right.
Here?
Then you can click down to.
Thank you very much, John. Sorry about that.
So press home
Home.
or scroll up.
There we go. Okay, now we'll get started. So our biggest focus recently has been the increased office capacity and equipment availability. We've added additional issuing stations to offices that had space available, and we deployed vision screening stations to all workstations. To expand on that a little bit, what we did when we first started, we had several vision screening machines at the beginning of the process when people would come into the regional office, and what we noticed is that was creating kind of a natural bottleneck in the process. So what we've done now is we've increased the number of vision screening machines, and they're at each one of the issuing workstations. So we found that to be much more efficient. It gets people into the lobby, checked in, ready to go, and then that way they can perform that task at the workstation if a renewal's part of the request at that time. We've also optimized office space to utilize improved space for issuing stations, vision screening, waiting areas, and check-in lines. We do a constant review of the regional office to make sure that it's performing at an efficient level. If we see something that's out of whack, whether it's appointment ratio to walk-ins, we make that adjustment. If we need more waiting area, we try to do that working with the landlords of the building. We've upgraded to the Qmatic queuing system for online scheduling, electronic check-in, and line management. That's managed for the greeters in all 35 locations. So essentially, the visual that we have in the office now with the television that shows their place in line, it allows them to know when it's their turn to go. They don't have that unknown of not knowing where they are in the process. So that's given our customers a little more confidence to navigate the process comfortably. We have added an additional office in Louisville in the Broadway L&N building. We always look to expand capacity where we can. When there's more appointments, when there's more walk-in slots, that allows us to get people in the office quicker, out quicker, and then their wait time to get an appointment is much smaller as well. So we continue to focus on that. We've expanded our footprint in our Spindletop location in Lexington. We readjusted KSP to another spot in the building, and we've added 4 more workstations, which again increase capacity, reduces waits. We've moved from a temporary space in Bardstown to a new permanent office. We enjoy this one much better. It's a little more finished product, more space for waiting for people, and more spaces for issuing stations. So again, Bardstown has been a very good addition to the team. And like I said, we continue to expand and review offices where the high demand continues. We shift staffing locations, so if we need more help in one location over another, we make that constant readjustment as we go along. Expanded staffing and increased compensation, that's a constant focus for all of us in state government. We know the competitiveness of pay comes into it, so we're constantly reviewing that. We've hired and maintained full state employee staffing, and we continue to fill those vacancies as quickly as they leave. We start the hiring process again. We don't want to get to that point where the lack of staffing begins to affect our performance. We've supplemented state employee staffings by hiring an additional 125 contract employees, and we've seen immediate results for that just over the last couple months. We continue to add help where we need it to make sure that the wait times are reduced. And something that we've worked on operationally is we coordinate with the Kentucky State Police to help absorb all of the additional applicants we've had with 15-year-olds. So we expanded Saturday office hours to focus just on that. We had several events, and we'll continue to monitor if we need to circle back around and have additional ones. But KSP has said that they've started to see a little bit of a reduction in written test appointments. So as that continues to decline and level set, we'll continue to readjust with them. But they're a great partner of ours, and we'll continue to work to streamline that any way we can. And then just last, an update on Real ID. Our most current number is the adoption rate for Kentucky is now at 42.9%, so almost 43%. We've seen a good, healthy growth in that over the last 6 months with the Real ID enforcement date coming in place. So we'll continue to share information with our federal partners as they do with us. We know that not everybody is required to get a Real ID. We are a voluntary state, so anyone that wants one can come get one. But we're also hearing good numbers from the airports of the number of travelers coming through that do have a Real ID. Something that we've worked on with wait times, this is a measurement of statewide averages from April to August of this year. For walk-ins, we've improved from 49 minutes per individual to 25 minutes. We've decreased the wait time for appointment holders from 25 minutes to 15 minutes. And so that gives us an average wait time of just under 30 minutes per customer statewide. And I believe that's all we've got. We'll be glad to take any questions you have.
Representative Tackett Lafferty.
Hello. Thank you for that presentation. As someone who has had a child recently get their license and also another to recently get their permit, I understand the process that we're looking at here. And I was very surprised at how convenient it was to visit and go through this process. But I have heard from a couple of my employers who test for CDL license, and there seems maybe to be some confusion. So I was wondering if you could clarify that for me as to whether, now that we do have an increased amount of 15-year-olds coming in to try for their permits, I think the testing for CDLs, it's a little harder to get those scheduled. So when you test for your permit or your CDL license, can you go to any facility that will issue a real ID to schedule those if you can't get that timely done at the facility in your hometown?
Sure. All driver testing, whether permit, CDL, is all done through Kentucky State Police and their website. Their written tests are available in almost all of our regional offices, save maybe 5 or 6. For testing, again, that is all coordinated with KSP. The only difference is really their CDL testing locations. I believe they have 12 or 13 of those around the state. But for more information, I would certainly defer to KSP.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, you may or may not know the answer to this question, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I've had some folks in my in my district sort of ask me this question. No, actually, really ask me this question. When we take a look at the driver's part of the testing, when was the last time that we evaluated that or updated that driver, what's required during the driver's part of the testing?
For testing, that's all established by KSP.
Okay.
So we would defer to them.
All right. I'll give them a call. Senator Higdon, did you have a response? You look like you knew. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions? Senator Higdon. He does have a question.
I have several, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
I think we're all done.
How many on our regional offices, and I know of 2 or 3 that don't have the state police and permit testing and skills test, but how many of them in our entire system of 35 offices do not have the state police presence with doing the permit and the driver's testing?
I believe that would be Bardstown, Litchfield, and the 4 offices in Louisville, with the exception of Bowman. So Bowman is the one where they do all the testing in Louisville right now.
I assume we plan to expand the driver's testing in Jefferson County to more than just one office, or is that sufficient?
I believe KSP has been investigating the possibility of expanding that, but I would defer to them on their specific plans.
Okay, and the pop-ups, are they still, we still get into the counties as originally agreed, and those are going well?
Absolutely. We're required to go to any county that does not have a regional office based on their population. So between 2 to 5 visits per year, and if an additional visit is needed due to maybe we have an outage or something that day, then we're always glad to reschedule and make that up. But I believe that makes for over 290 visits statewide annually that we do with pop-ups. And then plus we also do anything we can to help when disasters occur. We show up and help those that are affected the most.
Yep. You mentioned Saturday hours. What is our policy now on Saturday hours at our regional office, and is it fairly well advertised? Or
Absolutely. It started out very hot. They were very popular in the beginning. The attendance has cooled some, but we're open one Saturday a month in every regional office. The difference that we did with KSP when they wanted to do the 15-year-old testing is we dedicated everything to just the 15-year-olds for a full workday, so that way we could get the biggest chunk of them qualified and into the program.
And those what state police and you all did with the 15-year-olds, getting that huge amount of them out of the way right in the beginning was was a big help. Heard a lot of compliments on that.
Good. We'd love to hear that.
And Sarah,
Yes, sir.
I don't want you to be left out.
Oh, thank you for your consideration.
But we've discussed before at the airports. I know you have a lot of conversation with the TSA about the airports and how they're dealing with those that do not have a real ID and the percentage of that happening here at our major airports here in Kentucky.
So again, Matt emphasized that in Kentucky, Real ID is voluntary. You must have a form of Real ID. You do not have to have a Kentucky Real ID driver license or ID card to go through the airport. Most of you know a passport will suffice, the Department of Defense military ID will suffice, a veteran's identification, health identification card suffices. We're regularly on the phone. In fact, we just had a call Tuesday with TSA DHS in Kentucky, and they report recently through August that of total flyers out of the 3 major Louisville airports, 92.7% presented an acceptable form of Real ID on average of the major airports. And that's of Kentucky flyers out of those airports, 95.2% were Real ID compliant. The national average out of all airports of those people flying with an acceptable form of Real ID is 95.1%. So when you look at Kentucky having a 42.96% adoption rate of Real ID, that's higher than we anticipated or were projected to have with a voluntary Real ID program. But when you look at that, that's not the end of the numbers. The success is the messaging that the state of Kentucky has done in letting your constituents know that they have a choice when they fly and that they may present any form of Real ID. And I think that the measure of a success of that kind of messaging is these 95% figures that are flying out of airports. And Senator Higdon, I think I've told you before that TSA and DHS have confirmed to us, do you have to have a form of Real ID to fly out of an airport? Yes, you're asked for that. But currently, when you're asked for that, if you do not have a passport or a Kentucky or other state-issued Real ID, you are then subject to a secondary screening. So are you asked for a form of Real ID since May 7? Yes, you are. Are you turned away from flying currently? No, you are not. You proceed to a secondary screening, which is a very metered and measured, approach, I think, at this point. I don't know how long they'll take that approach, but that is the approach, and I think some of you have seen that probably in action. So that's my Real ID report for today. I'll answer any other questions.
Mr. Chairman, may I continue? And kudos to TSA for not immediately putting making that mandatory where we've kind of eased into this, and I think it's worked out very well for us. And thank you all for your work on that. Matt, back to you on we've had discussion on our third party, third party reissuing of driver's license. How's that proceeding?
Very well. We've had a project manager working on that. It's completely dedicated to that program. I believe we've almost finalized the language for the regulation, so we'll be submitting that to the process, and hopefully we can have some good traction on that program as we move forward.
Okay, sounds good. But one question I had to ask, and I guess the gorilla in the room is on our issues with driver's licensing that was in the news recently. What type of? I know you've made precautions or got to the root cause and have made changes to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I'm going to answer that question. First of all, we take that very seriously. The issuance of credentials is a very, very serious process. And when this was detected and confirmed, we immediately elevated it to law enforcement. The licenses that were inappropriately issued were revoked, and the people who were suspected of wrongdoing were relieved and terminated. They'd been hired through temp agencies, and they were terminated. I really can't say any more. I cannot say any more at this juncture because it's an ongoing investigation, and we've been asked by investigative authorities, specifically the U.S. Attorney's Office, to not comment or share information. But I will assure you that our goal is to see that, first and foremost, that these wrongdoers would be appropriately dealt with, and that it is preventable action in the future.
And my main concern is you have taken precautions that this doesn't, whatever happened.
Continuously.
Okay.
As you know, Senator, fraud is a continuous
I know.
process. We are not alone. It's not just Kentucky. Authorities have been looking into actions and fraud actions in many other states, and so I just want to say that battling fraud is an ongoing process, and it is a responsibility of ours that we take very seriously.
And thank you for that. That's I appreciate your straightforwardness on that. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have at this moment. I might think of something later.
Please let us know. Representative Smith.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another topic that we've been getting a lot of attention on is moving the licensing back to the courthouse. I know that you've probably be aware of that discussion. Is it possible that we could get from the beginning until today the cost that we've incurred, what we've invested in first this transition, and so we will be prepared for that. So I look for bills to be filed to take it back. And so I think that we need to be prepared to look at, first of all, it'll be the will of the legislators on what we do. But second of all, I think as a subcommittee on the budget part, we need to know what we've invested already, if that's possible, to give us a number so we can at least look at back what the cost is going to be to take it back away from you, close the offices down. I know you're in lease agreements. Is this possible to do? I'm not trying to give you homework. I'm just saying, could you help us prepare for that discussion that'll be coming up in January? I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, it'll be discussed. Just listening to the things that's being said. I'd like to be prepared to say if we're in a 10-year lease on a building and we're obligated, those type of things. What are we obligated to? What have we spent? So we can weigh it out and at least make a sound judgment on what direction to go with the legislators when it's brought up and when it's being discussed. Is that fair? A fair question? Or?
We can certainly explore that. We can provide the budget numbers of what it's cost us to this point, and then as legislative items pop up that may impact this, we'll be glad to participate in any of those activities.
Okay. Is that fair, Mr. Chairman, to look at? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about as far as the discussions on the pressure that's being put on by the public and on legislators and what they're looking at. It's easy to say things as a legislator in politics when you're getting into a heated discussion. It's hard sometimes to come up with that final answer if you're looking at what it's costing the taxpayers to shift back. And I'm sure it's several $1 million, if not a lot of millions. And we need to be prepared to be able to answer that to the public on why or why not is the best, what's the best move if that's possible.
Certainly.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you both.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you very much.
opportunity.
Next up is some discussion on shift scoring. We've got James Ballinger and Michael Pelfrey. Is that right? Just introduce yourselves for the record, and you may proceed.
James Ballinger, State Highway Engineer.
Mikhail Pelfrey, Director.
Mikhail Pelfrey, Director of the Division of Planning, KYTC. Good morning. I wanted to give you an update on SHIFT and how it is going in this cycle. First of all, for those of you that don't know what SHIFT stands for, the acronym is the Strategic Highway Investment Formula for Tomorrow. And I want to draw attention specifically to the F in there because it is formula. SHIFT is a data-driven process. We have data on all the projects that we have, and it is instrumental. This is the sixth cycle we are doing, and there are many components to it, but it is a data-driven prioritization process.
There you go.
Sorry about that. So for SHIFT, we are focusing on capacity projects. So these are projects that have issues identified with primarily with safety, congestion, those type of issues. We want to take all the issues out with your normal pavement rehabs, maintenance type projects are not included in SHIFT. So the formula, there are 7 different components that go into that scoring process. You can see them listed at the bottom there. Safety, economic growth, which I guess safety encompasses both the crash history as well as the roadway characteristics of the roadway. Economic growth encompasses if we were to do the roadway improvement, how much does that drive the economy? And there's also a freight component to that. Congestion is kind of self-explanatory. The benefit of cost component is reporting the cost. How much does the benefits weigh in relation to the cost of the project? So that's a direct ratio. Asset management focuses on your pavement and bridges. A little bit of a score there. Resiliency focuses on the criticality of the route, as well as any ongoing kind of issues. Do we have to go out and do we have to continually address slides at a road? There's a small score for that. And then the last one is non-motorized mobility. Focuses on bicyclists and pedestrians and those type of issues. So for the statewide scoring process, we start this process back at the beginning of the year. In January and April, our highway districts meet with yourselves, with legislators, with ads in the MPOs. And during that process, they want to get ideas to be able to sponsor projects. This is the idea to get all projects sponsored. This cycle, we had somewhere in the neighborhood of about 1,500 projects that were identified in the sponsorship process that have shafts created for them. We transitioned that into midsummer, where the statewide projects are pulled out off the top. Those are projects of statewide importance. Think about your Brent Spence Bridge, think about your RX, those type of projects in Mountain Parkway is also included in that, Representative Lafferty. So those projects are kind of removed off the top. Once those projects are removed at the top of the red summer, in the midsummer, we move on to the regional scoring. So regional scoring is scored on an 80-point score. Those seven categories that were on the previous slide encompass 80 points. And in late summer, our ads, MPOs, and HDOs meet to be able to determine their priorities, and those projects are boosted. So our HDOs are our highway district offices. They can boost a certain number of projects by 10 points. And then our ads are our area development districts. We have 15 of those across the state. And we also have 10 metropolitan planning organizations that are in your more metropolitan areas with at least a 50,000 population. So depending upon which area of the project that focuses on, that is able to be boosted by 10 points as well. That process wraps up in late summer, wrapped up at the beginning of September, and we are taking time this month to be able to finalize those regional scores. New to this cycle, by October 1st, we've got to provide the SHIFT scores to you all. So we will have those scores by October the 1st. We are currently scoring about somewhere in the neighborhood of between 1,200 and 1,300 projects in this process. And we are, at this point, we are about 81% done as of Monday. So we are on schedule to be able to deliver. That's it. That's all I have for you. I will welcome any questions this time.
That, speaking from my standpoint, that's good news that it'll be here October the 1st or thereabouts. It's a long process on our end, and so we appreciate the effort to get that done October the 1st.
Certainly.
I'll say that is, from my perspective, and I know Senator Higdon's as well. Representative Tackett-Lafferty, you have a question?
I actually just have a brief comment. I want to say thank you for all the work that has happened. One of the projects that you mentioned, the expansion of the Mountain Parkway through Prestonsburg in my community, the secretary, the governor, and a lot of our colleagues here have, really worked hard on that project, and we broke ground on it less than a month ago. So I hear that everything on the Mountain Parkway expansion is moving in the right direction. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Work. It's going to make a big difference in my community. Thank you.
Senator Higdon, you don't have a question, do you?
I guess I do. Of course, you're the senior member here, so you probably have questions too. I guess one of the things about the shift, it's always primarily done while we're in session. We don't get to participate much in that, and that's probably a good thing. I used to complain all the time that we didn't get to participate, but it seems it gets done without us, and that's good. We're in about our 12th year, probably 10, 12 years into shift. Is it a process worth continuing? Does it need to be changed in any way? Your comments on the shift process.
I can jump in, and I'll let Mikhail comment as well. But I think certainly it's worth continuing the process. It's been 6 cycles we've been through. I was working in a District 7, Lexington, when we started some of the shift process and the early days of looking at a data-driven process. And I worked in that project development area, and it's something that we felt like was of value, and we think it has value today. There has been some changes along the way, some tweaks to it to make it better, and I do think that it's got a great value to inform the highway plan process all the way around. So I would recommend that we definitely keep the shift scoring process.
Yes, Senator, I'll add, the schedule that I showed started at the beginning of the odd year, but the even year we're doing work as well. So even all the even years, we have research partners over at the University of Kentucky with the Kentucky Transportation Center. They are constantly revamping our formulas, and it is a continuous improvement process. So just because you all see the shift scores in the odd years, in the even years, we're doing work behind the scenes to be able to improve that. And it's constantly evolving each year, each cycle.
And Chairman Upchurch will probably be surprised I asked this question, but I'll ask it. Non-motorized mobility. I've seen some projects completed in a very elaborate system of sidewalks, and the sidewalks are not that expensive, but the additional right-of-way that you had to buy to do this, is it possible to start putting in the road plan what that cost is for that additional right-of-way, and to put the sidewalks in? Because we have a program, a TAP program, that Commissioner Lewis does a great job with, for sidewalks. But just that, the income from our formula, our gas formula, continues to shrink, and like I said, I think it's worthy to know, what those extras are costing us to put those in there.
Senator Egnan, yes, we can look at those costs. We typically don't break those out separate for what an additional, like a sidewalk or the additional right-of-way or utilities. those costs that we could incur. But we do have projects that where we do have a lot of pedestrians, and we have projects all across the state, and I'm always surprised, and even in some of the more rural communities, that we do run into that in some of the towns where we do have the need to accommodate the pedestrians there if there's existing. But certainly that's something that we could do, is to segregate those costs. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's interesting over the years how years ago cities took care of sidewalks, and now all of a sudden they're wanting them in the road plan, or not all of a sudden, but over time. And like I said, that as those transportation dollars get scarce, we have to start looking at those type of things.
Are there any other questions? Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not trying to compete against the chairman on questioning, but turning lanes, are they shifted? When I put turning lanes in a budget?
The simple answer is yes.
Okay.
It is a capacity improvement, so it would be factored in a shift.
Okay, so it's actually my fault, because I really thought when we put things in the budget that they were a project. And I'm finding out it depends on what number you put it under, where it all gets put at in the budget, what pot it pulls out of. So I'm in a learning process myself, trying to figure out how it doesn't say on the back burner, how it gets moved up and actually gets completed. The reason I'm saying that is because Cumberland Gap has probably doubled in the usage of the traffic in the last probably 10 years. You'll have better numbers than me, but I've lived on the 4-lane there for 40 years, and I could come off the hill and turn and go right on the 4-lane. Today I have to sit there and wait for traffic to go by, so I know it's increased by a considerable amount. The reason I'm putting requests in for turning lanes is try to keep people from getting rear-ended. And so I'm wanting the cabinet to know that. I'm not just trying to, somebody calls up and says, give me a turn lane because I live up this, I got a driveway here. I think it's really important on the safety side, and that's where you guys are at, that we're on the same page. I don't want to put things in the budget just because it's in there. I want to know if it's eligible, not eligible, what's the cabinet going to say, because I don't want to be upset because it's sitting there for 2 cycles and not get done, or be requesting it and not be able to be done. So if that's possible, is that reasonable to say, since I can see, I know the ad board deals with the shift. They bring people in, they bring their local governments in, they talk about the projects. I've learned that process. So I didn't even realize that was going on until the second budget, that there was a process called shift. Didn't even know what it was. And but I found out that it was important because it moved projects up. And so I don't want to put in, I'm not up here to put in 20 projects and get 2. I'm up here to put in 2 to get 2, if that's all that it's eligible for. So if that makes sense. So I guess, is there a communication that I can look at on projects before I ask our chair and ask our leadership to put them in? Is there some way of doing that? Do I need to meet with my district engineer to go over those, or maybe Mr. Ballinger, or what process do I need to use as a legislator to make sure, because there's several things that keep coming up. The project hasn't been gone through these processes, and I understand that. Consulted, engineered, you get a whole list of checkoffs that I'm learning. This one right here is one that I learned that is important for the locals to be involved in what request I have too. It's just not as a legislator, me thinking that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. I'm finding out I need to work with my locals since they have a say in the shift. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. Okay. The locals, so the 80 points is the points based upon the actual engineering kind of criteria that I shared. But that last 20 points is there for them to be able to reach out to you. In your district, it sounds like you're in the area. The ad has 10 points to be able to boost that, and the highway district also has 10 points to be able to boost that project. It's instrumental that you reach out to them so they know your priorities, so they can do that at the end of the process during the boost cycle in the summer.
Representative Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll follow up on something that's been brought up. Senator brought up sidewalks. I'm thinking bike lanes, things of that nature. And over the past probably 5 to 8 years, 10 years, there's been a big push to put in bike lanes, additional sidewalks and everything. Is there any sort of system, weighted system, or required analysis or anything to add these to a project?
Thank you for the question, and that's definitely a good question. It's a little bit like the answer I gave for the roundabouts earlier. Is we do look at the context of the roadway. If there's pedestrians that are using the existing facility, if there's potentially sidewalks that need connectivity. If we have an area that it's a growing, and if it's what I call be a curb and gutter section roadway, which is an urban type roadway, we typically do look at sidewalks in those locations, because it's an urban type roadway, because there's typically housing and commercial development in the area. So we do look at those factors that would influence the decision about including like a sidewalk or the potential for a bike lane on a project. Oftentimes, as well as you have to look at the local plans that they have is one thing through the planning process, and Mikhail's the director of the Division of Planning, is we look at the local bicycle and pedestrian plans as we go through the development of a project, and we use that to inform our process as well. That if the locals have identified an area where there's going to be future growth and sidewalks are needed, that would influence and inform the development and the design of a highway project as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Higdon.
Back to Representative Smith's question. I just, on projects, Chairman Upchurch and I, it pains us to tell somebody no when they need a turning lane. It also pains us to if we're over programmed, and that's why it's not happening. But the bottom line is that we're very blessed to have the federal funding that we get, and that's deals with most of our construction. I love orange cones, and that the federal dollars are putting most of that out there. But turn lanes and those type of things are done with state dollars, and our formula for our gas, our user fees, is just not keeping up with the today's wants and needs in the transportation budget. It's just not doing it. And if you look back, if anybody wants to check me, you can look back 2011, and the user fee then, what our gas formula was generating, was 25.9 cents. Today it's 26.1, almost identical, 2011 to 2025. And I could probably bet you that the price of blacktop has gone up quite a bit, or as Senator Douglas told me, it's asphalt has gone up considerably since in that time, and labor and equipment. And so at some point we've got to consider redoing our formula, because it is broken. And that's my pet peeve, and I just wanted to tell people that's part of our problem. Is we just don't have the revenue generating tool that we need.
Sure. And we concur. We'd like to deliver every single project that's contained in the plan, for sure, and we concur with that. And we're facing pressures right now. The cost increase, as you mentioned, on the materials that we have. Those construction costs has been increased in the order of magnitude 40 to 50% over the last 3 to 5 years, and that's a significant pressure that we're facing on our projects. Equipment that our contractors have to buy, the bulldozers and the scrapers and the blacktop machines, and they've all gone up significantly as well. The labor costs. So we're definitely facing those price pressures on our projects, though, and it's But we certainly would like to deliver all those projects as well. We agree with you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your presentation. Appreciate it. Next up is Bobby Jo Lewis, Commissioner, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid. She said she had about a 45-minute presentation for us today, so. Just introduce yourself for the record, and you may proceed.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Co-Chairman Douglas. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Bobby Jo Lewis. I'm the Commissioner with Rural and Municipal Aid, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk to you today about the Local Assistance Road Program. Provide a little updated information. So let's get started. The first screen that I have here basically sets out where we're at money-wise. HJR 92, which was from fiscal year 2025, the funds set out were $20 million. In HJR 92, which were the projects, the priority projects for that year, totaled $17.290 million. And so we took the 19,991 that was actually authorized minus the 2.7 million that was already completed, and bumped that into the next year for your use. There were underruns following final payments of $280,441, which also carry forward. Fast forward to FY26 this year, HJR 46, there were funds set out in House Bill 546 of $21.147 million. The projects that were authorized in HJR 46 were $23,857,000. So put the math across there. You can see that there was a $9,000 over authorization there. However, that left $271,441. So if you take the 280 that were underruns minus the 9,000, there's an extra $271,441 left for reauthorization. These figures are as of August 1st. We've been pretty busy. My staff, Christy Ross, is here. And she is the executive advisor, and she's the one who's been inputting all these local assistance road program projects. So she stayed really busy doing that. So these have need to be updated, but these are as of August 1st. All right, so the implementation status of HJR 46. That was the projects that you all chose from the submissions this past legislative session. MOAs were sent to the counties and cities at the first part of July. 73 of 79 county MOAs have been fully executed. This was as of Monday. There's been a couple more come in since then. So 92% of the county MOAs have been fully executed, and then 13 of 18 city MOAs have been fully executed at 72%. And we've had a couple more of those come in since Monday. Okay, the implementation status of the Local Assistance Road Program. As you all know, and I keep telling people this as I talk around to the locals and whatnot, because I have people ask me, can I apply for both? The County Priority Projects Program and the Local Assistance Road Program? And I'm like, no, they're the same thing. Okay, Local Assistance Road Program made modifications to the County Priority Projects Program. So I usually put them together on my slide. So the implementation, the updated application form that we created pursuant to the requirements contained in House Bill 546 are included in our form. The photos every 300 feet, the projects no more than 500,000. You can apply for more than one project, but each project can't be more than 500,000. There is a local match required, And the project must be a rehabilitation project that's designed to restore the original condition of the road. That's all, as I said, pursuant to House Bill 546. And if you look at the application form, thanks to some really, I have to take a moment right here. I always do this, but it's always worthwhile to say that we are surrounded by a bunch of really intelligent and helpful people at the Transportation Cabinet. This process with the LARP implementation, we have banked on all of the people at KYTC from the IT division, GIS, the folks in the State Highway Engineer's Office, Program Management, and then Christy. They've all been a very integral part of the implementation of this program. So I need to give them a shout out because we wouldn't be where we are in the implementation of this program without their efforts. So when you look at this form for the locals to apply, it calculates it all for you. You put in the amount of the project and the beginning and ending mile points, and when you go back to the front page, it's going to tell you what the estimate is, minus your local match. So we've got that built in, and it calculates it and tells you what the request is. So I'm pretty proud of that, and kudos to all the people who've had a hand in that. As you all know, there were several reporting requirements in House Bill 546. There's also been a form that's created. We'll be sending this out at the end of September to do a quarterly report as requested on the projects that were assigned in HJR 46. There's a form, and it's very easy for the locals to respond so that we can meet this reporting requirement. When they get it, they just have to go in and answer questions, and based on the answers to their questions, it'll send them in different directions so we can gather all of the information that's required in House Bill 546. The scoring matrix that was required has been developed by, like I said, a lot of people at KYTC. I didn't mention the pavements division and all of the CDE's offices because they all participated in that as well. So that's all done, and it's being utilized across the state. All right, now the local assistance road program funding requests that have been submitted through September 12th, which was last Friday. There have been 275 projects submitted totaling $31,894,232. 49 counties have applied. 22 cities have applied. And then you'll see the project rankings below that. Of the 10s, there's 8.3 million, 3.5 million in 9s, 3.1 in 8s. Less than 8s, total 5 million. The pending projects are 2.7 million, and these, when I say pending and entered, they're entered into the scoring app. There's an app that all of the evaluators use across the state that answer the questions that were required to be built into the scoring matrix. So when they answer these questions, the evaluators don't even see the score. No one sees it. It runs through GIS overnight, and all of it's calculated through the scoring matrix. And the next morning, we get a list of the evaluations that have been done and what the score is. Now, the last line, the pending to be entered, those are the applications that have come into our office, and we have them, we've uploaded photographs to a OneShare drive that is available. That's been reported to staff at LRC for you all to be able to look at the roads. So that's where we're putting all the photographs for you to see. That was a question Mr. Chairman had the last time I was here. So we've been utilizing this OneDrive, and that's where all the photos are at. So we do that, and then when to be entered, that's when Christy will go into the app and she draws the roads, the portion of the road or the project that is to be evaluated, and it then goes out to the proper district for assigning by the chief district engineer to the appropriate evaluator. So that total is $9 million, and that was as of last Friday. Now we've had several come in the first part of this week, so these numbers could be updated a few. So, and I believe that was my last slide. So I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions from any of the members of the committee? Senator Higdon.
Thank you, Bobby Joe, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do want to thank Chairman Upchurch. This was his brainchild, this House Joint Resolution 46, and it's worked out very well.
I'd like to take it back to the orphanage.
Okay. Well, it doesn't quite fund all the needs that are out there, but it certainly shows us the need that's out there.
Yes, sir.
For projects, and I think that's probably the most important thing it's done, is showed us what the needs are. And thank you for your work on this.
Well, you're welcome, sir. It's my pleasure.
Any other questions?
I will add, we have been sending over the monthly reports as required by House Bill 546. And we do recognize, and I've been speaking from high up on the mountain, that the closing date is October 1st. There are 13 days. So I've been telling people you need to get your applications in. So we'll look forward to what October 1st brings, and then we'll have our final list over to you by November 1st.
Okay. Well, thank you, and no more questions.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day.
I think that wraps up all the agenda items for today's meeting, unless Senator Higdon has another question. All right, please take note that our next meeting will be October the 15th. And if that being all, we do now stand adjourned.
That's funny.
I did. I had that day yesterday.